found ourselves with not necessarily an IRL passing, but an in-game passing with Amanda Holliday.
I was going to touch on that. So in episode 7, we talked about the Forsaken campaign, and we were saying about, well, I said about my opinion is that it was iconic because they killed off Cade Six, and they showed that, you know, they don't care who they kill off. They will write it in and they'll kill him off like that in a heartbeat. And then like a week after our episodes, I do the weekly story and Amanda's dead. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I know. I really want to be careful about what characters we name drop in this episode, because who knows what'll happen in the weeks.
They're going to be next.
Yeah, a lot of foreshadowing going on
I feel like, did you ever watch Death Note? Going off track, but like the anime Death Note, I feel like this is what it is. Just a really weird version of it.
Well, I guess whoever wants to see the next character, eat dirt, post that in chat, and we'll drop
Here's
our
our predictions.
For you. But Amanda is gone. Okay. I know I put out some content, because the question is, will she or should she be resurrected as a guardian or come back in any capacity? What are your thoughts on that, VP?
Interesting to see how they write it in, because at the moment we're in a precarious position in our storyline where the tower's been infected by the witness, the link's been created, so what does that mean? Like, so the link's been created, there was all this uncertainty about the veil, what it is and stuff, the witness, you see, I don't want to spoil too much just in case, but at the end you see like the witness infecting the traveler, so does that mean he's able to create new guardians? Is like what we've got now the end? Like if they all go, that's it?
And by infecting the traveler, you mean creating the triangle and entering the traveler? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So like, he's well, I don't know really how to say it, but like his ships went inside the triangle that he created. So I'm guessing, in a certain extent, the traveler's compromised.
Of course.
You'd have to think, surely. What'd they do? I mean, did they bring her back as a guardian? I mean, she was pivotal to some points of the story, but she wasn't really ever like a main character. But then we haven't had a Hunter Vanguard for ages, and obviously they joke about it. If you start as a new Guardian, I found this out recently, they joke about how ever since Cade Six's death, the Hunter Vanguard position has been considered like cursed, a bit like, the Harry Potter Death Against the Dark Arts position. It's been cursed and nobody wants to take that position. Obviously we have Crow, but he's never actually gone as like an actual Vanguard. So does that mean that we get him finally as a Vanguard? Are we going to get Amanda resurrected as a Hunter Vanguard? Like, where do we go from here? It's interesting. Potentially, it could be any of all.
Good point.
And I know you don't like fence sitting. I'm sorry, I've done it again. But
I don't like fence sitting at all. But we'll get to that. Let's parking lot that for now, all right? And then I'll lambast you on it later. But let me bring these points up, all right? So number one, you mentioned Hunter Vanguard. Interestingly enough, as I recall running a Battlegrounds mission, and you get different dialogue every time you run it, I recall Crow stating, and I quote, "I sent some of my hunters out to do X," as if he has assumed the role of the Hunter Vanguard, or the narrative team is communicating that he has some authority in some capacity to issue orders out to other hunters under the Vanguard umbrella. That's how it's communicated in that voice line to me. I don't know if you recall that specific voice line or not. Do you remember hearing that?
Not really.
Okay. Because I don't think I'm taking crazy pills. I'm very confident in hearing that voice line.
You're probably right.
Okay, so that was interesting to hear, right? And actually, I believe I heard that, or maybe at least it resonated and it paid attention to me. I paid attention to it post Amanda Holliday's death. Okay.
Oh, interesting. I might have to go through some Battlegrounds then.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up, right? Just to kind of raise an eyebrow on that voice dialogue that you hear in the Battlegrounds mission. And then, as far as Amanda Holliday being resurrected as a Guardian, so a couple points on that. So, are there new Guardians being created, right? So, considering the Traveler's compromise, as you said, right, as you stated. So, there's still new lights in the game, right? There's still, I think I had another viewer or commenter on one of my streams or posts state that there's something in the lore that refers to a ghost flying around, like spotted in Neomuna, right? So like there are ghosts out there looking for Guardians. So I think that's established. But whether new ghosts are being created to look for new Guardians, or whether it's just like existing ones, either before or since the Traveler's been compromised, I can't find or heard anything that like says yes or no. So I'm just kind of in the place where ghosts are out there. I don't know if new ghosts are being like manifested by the Traveler. It would kind of make sense, like maybe they still are because new lights are still in the game, or are those new lights getting rezzed for the first time just because of the existing ghost population? I don't know if you've seen or heard any lore regarding that point.
No, I've not heard anything. And obviously this is just my opinion, my take. So, yeah, I was sort of thinking, well, if they bring Holiday back, how are they going to write it in? But then if they've already got something saying that, you know, there's still existing ghosts out there looking for Guardians, or for people worthy of the light, it's easy to write in. If they don't decide to go down that route and they go another route, it'll be interesting to see how they write it in. From a writing perspective, you know, they've done really well for the last couple of campaigns, couple of seasons. You know, the seasonal storylines have been really well thought of, so it'll be interesting to see how they go forward. And I noticed that this week we didn't get a story mission. We had week 5, which was Holiday's death, but week 6 we haven't got any new like story or any new weekly missions or anything to do. Obviously, it's just the same Pinnacle stuff. So I wonder if that's a decision they've made because of what they want to write in, or if it was just a break they've taken, or because it's Easter. I know obviously for them it's, I don't know if they celebrate it the same way, but
the
it's interesting they skipped a week.
Right. Well, the quest line is concluded, right? So that week of Amanda's passing, that was, I think,
week 5.
Yeah. So right after that, the quest was over with, right? Like there was no check-in with the Queen's Guard the next week. Like you completed it and got your reward, and that was it. Whether they're going to introduce something new, you know, to kind of flesh out the story regarding the Queen's Guard, or something new, or maybe something new happens in Neomuna, that still has yet to be seen. I don't know. That would kind of be unprecedented. I don't think we've ever gotten like a seasonal quest at the halfway or end of the season. It's always been something that kind of starts in the beginning and then week to week develops and
they expand.
And it, yeah, right, and then it ends up, then you end up completing it. So that still has yet to be seen. But I think the question remains is, will and or should Amanda Holliday be resurrected? What do you say?
I'm trying to think of if she's done anything like pinnacle to the story. I mean, other than last week, she's only really been known as somebody that gives you ships and stuff. She hasn't really had like an actual story. They brought her backstory in recently, but then they killed her off like the week after.
Yeah.
So it's, I'd probably say no. Like, she's not really been a main NPC for years, and you know, they give her the spotlight the same week they're going to murder her. So like, does she deserve to come back as a Guardian? I mean, she's been pivotal to like the lore of like keeping the ships running and stuff. Yeah, but like from a from a Guardian perspective, from a player, I've only known her to sell ships right at the very beginning, back in the Red War, and then whatever happened last week. And that's it. Those are the 2 points you meet her.
Well, she's taken more of a progressive and active role since the Red War, right? Because with the Guardians losing the light, a lot of the, evacuating and reconnaissance and then retaliation against, Dominus Gaul and the Red Legion, that was all left to basically the non-Guardian militia, which Amanda was at the forefront of. Amanda Holliday, listen, if she does end up getting rezzed, which I know every fanboy and girl out there are beating the drum too. Right? I think everybody wants to see it. It's not going to happen this season. Like, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if it happened next season. I think they need the dust to settle on it. It could happen.
The play would be to do it for the final shape.
Yeah, it could be like a cliffhanger going into the final shape, because you don't know, what type of Guardian is she going to come back as? Like what, what type of, who is she going to be? Like, it's a blank slate, right? It's a tabula rasa when you're risen. He's not going to remember who she was, right?
I think from a story writing perspective, it makes more sense to do it towards final shape, because by that time, you think seasons are 70 odd days long, so we're talking, 3 months? If we don't do it next season, that's 6 months. If we don't do it until like the end of the season after, that's 9 months. 9 months have passed, and people aren't going to remember that she even died, or if they did, it's going to be like a fleeting memory at that point. And then you're going to get a story of where she suddenly self-reses as a Guardian. It's going to be epic. It'll be amazing, especially heading into the final shape for what they're setting up, like the end of Light versus Dark, and then she comes back and tilts the scales in your favor. It'd be amazing.
I definitely want to touch on, if she does get res, how that could factor in as a cliffhanger. But let me parking lot that. But what about the way that she died? The cutscene, the story mission that we were through for the seasonal quest. What are your thoughts on that?
It was horrendous. Like, she died in a blazing inferno. It was almost similar to what's her name?
You mean horrendous, like you didn't enjoy it? You felt she could have went out better, or just horrendous, like just
it's a brutal way to go either way. I mean, it's horrendous for her as well, especially being like a non-Guardian, like, just being burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
I mean, it just felt wrong as well. Like Aramis trying to hold a hand out. It's like, I tried to warn you. It's like, get the fuck out of here. You were trying to be like, screw us from the start. You got the raw emotions. And then Zavala does the devotion, bravery, sacrifice thing at her grave. Yeah. Like, you get the same sort of speech as you got from like an original Guardian back in like Destiny 1, Destiny 2 days. It was just the whole thing was really touching. It was horrible to see her die that way.
Well,
it was I'm trying to think of her name. The Exo Stranger's sister. Is it?
You mean
Elsie's the Exo Stranger?
Anastasia.
Anastasia. I couldn't think of it. I was like, Ada? No, that's not right. Yeah, it's the same sort of way that she died during the first collapse, where she was like still in the bunker, and then the explosion just basically nuked everything that she was touching.
And they show like a lumped over skeleton at a computer console afterwards.
It was just like similar flashbacks to that. You just see the light behind her.
That was such a callous depiction of her death. Like, there was no like love whatsoever. At least like Amanda went out like in style, I guess.
In
like,
color.
In color,
you just see that.
Anastasia's death scene was just basically like stick figure theater.
For anyone who didn't watch it, it was hard hitting, especially with like the story behind her teaching Red and stuff, and it really tugged on the heartstrings. And then you get the stick figure drawing of her skeleton. You're like, all right, I can't take this seriously now. I said she's been an NPC for years, like a real backseat one.
I know. Well, I'm fucking defending her, man. I give Amanda more weight than you do, so I'm on the other side of the fence.
If anything, it's just going to be a chance to bury the hatchet with Crow, because obviously, like, he did her dirty, and then didn't remember why he did her dirty. And now she's not going to remember why she hated him in the first place, so it's going to be like like you said, it's a fresh start for both.
Right.
If she comes back. But I kind of agree to that statement. If she comes back, she'll be more of a helping hand to sell Crow as the good guy. He's never been accepted as the Hunter Vanguard. Let's be honest. Since Cade 6 death, he's never been accepted.
But Crow is a facade for who he truly is, which is Uldren Sov.
He's always going to be Uldren Sov. No matter how many times you try and pull the wool over Guardian's eyes, he's the fucker that pulled the trigger on Cade 6.
Right? And the fact that the Crow went through the steps with confronting the nightmares, right, and using like the voodoo stick that Eris created. Right?
Oh yeah, I forgot Season of the Haunted.
In the Season of the Haunted, he confronted Uldren and basically, because he tried to push him away and separate himself, but he realized that he can't push away who he is, or else he'll always live in that conflict that like sways his personality. Right? Like clouds his judgment. Right? At least that's like the narrative beat that I took away from it. But I think, especially with Amanda's passing, is that Crow is going to come to that crossroads again, right? Where he
for sure.
Right? Because, you know, when as you put, when Zavala is kneeling, you know, at her coffin or her dead body, whatever, right? And he's going through
what's left of it,
right? And you know, devotion, bravery, sacrifice, and then Crow turns to us, and I mean, it wasn't Crow looking at us. To me, like that was Uldren Sov saying,
"Yeah,
we
need to get revenge. We need to fuck this guy up.
We're gonna get our vengeance here, and you let me know when you're ready because I'm locked and loaded, you know." And I think you're gonna see Crow just. And maybe like in Season of the Deep, it'll be more, you know, focus on like the darkness. It's as an entity, right? Not like the Witness being agent of the darkness or a rogue agent of the darkness.
It's weird how they do the story with the darkness as well, like you said, like focusing more on the darkness. It's been a thing for some seasons now, isn't it? I mean, Beyond Light, it was about like the darkness power and I just played through the Shadowkeep campaign again. I needed an exotic helmet. It's neither here nor there, digressing a little bit, but that's very touched on the darkness speaking through your ghost, and you relive nightmares and stuff. And you know, now we've got a face to the darkness, but it's always been there, if that makes sense. It's always been manipulating the strings, playing with the storyline, where you need to be, sort of thing. It'd be nice to see Crow snap and go back to Uldren Sov of 6 years ago when he was pulling the trigger.
That's what I want to see. I want to see Crow just like get triggered and just.
Oh, like, I hope it's Aramis as well. Oh, can you imagine?
Go off. And then, I mean, listen, I'm speaking like a doomsday guy here. I want to see Crow get triggered, right, and kill off another pivotal character, an NPC or what have you, and then that would justify one of our main NPCs killing off Crow. Like, I just want to see the bodies hit the floor. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you want like the floodgates to open? So you don't want him to kill something from the other side. You want him to kill someone from our side.
The luckiest or the strongest person standing. So when we go into the final shape, it's like, you know,
survival of the fittest.
You're playing for your life.
It's going to be a wild ride.
You're playing, you know, like you're living your last life basically. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that type of shakeup would just be tremendous for the game.
I hope it goes 1-for-1. I hope he fucking puts a bullet through Aramis, finally gets rid of that fucking bitch, and then, I don't know, he snaps or something and threatens Osiris or fucking, like, Saint 14 or something, and then Zavala just has to put him out of his misery. Like, Old Yeller just take him around the back and just... just for your thing. It's called the Invective. You were close.
Okay.
The lore on it is I tried to talk them down. They made a grab for my ghost. After that, it was a short conversation. I call a Ray.
There you go. Like, that's badass right there, right? Like, that's badass. You know?
Where's that Ikora? Why do we get the door opener?
I don't know. And like a lot of her dialogue in like in the Red War, like when we all lost our light, and she's like reflecting upon like, this is my last life, or this could be my final death. And like her and Zavala are questioning everything, and like I get it, but it was almost like some of her like reflections were like almost over the top, right? Or like too introspective. But maybe that's just like the warlock in her. That's what warlocks.
Well, I guess as well, you got to think, like, obviously, to the lore, she was growing up with Osiris as, the mentor, and obviously she was like a force in the Crucible, but then she became a leader, and obviously, like, a leader of the Vanguard, she has to set an example. I'm guessing she probably can't go around throwing Nova Bombs every time she feels pissed or something, you know what I mean? She's probably got to, live by a code, of some say. Because you look at Zavala, he hasn't been on the front lines for ages, but all of the lore points to him being an absolute badass. Like, he was raised through like the Iron Lords at the temple, and then, but like now, how often would we see that? I guess it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? They're leaders for a reason. They've got to lead the front lines, lead the forces. They're the commanding officer, and we're the cannon fodder that has to go out and do the dirty work, essentially.
Well, it's just like Shaxx, too. Like, who doesn't want to see Shaxx, like, get in the mix?
Can you imagine Shaxx in the Crucible? Throw more grenades.
I mean, like, give us a cutscene with Shaxx being Shaxx, man. Or better yet, and I don't want to go too far left. I want to get back to Amanda, because there's a couple other points I need to raise. But, like, when do we get the backstory on when Shaxx lost his horn, man? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, what epic battle? Like, was it like some like fallen Kel, and like you just got out of the way and the sword swiped it off? Was it like, did you lose it in the Battle of Six Fronts? Was it Twilight Gap? Did you lose it then? Like, I don't know.
Him and Saint 14 went into the trials.
Did Saint chop it off? I mean, who knows, dude? Like, that's, hopefully we'll get that at some point. But
let's get back to Holliday, because obviously you said you got a couple more points.
So on Holliday, I guess in conclusion, should she get res? I don't think she should, but I think she will. Right?
Welcome to the team. We have cookies. I don't think she should get res either, but she probably will.
So, okay. Now, the question is, okay, let's say the narrative team says, yeah, we're going to go ahead, we're going to res her. Right? That's what the community wants. That's what our team wants. The win-win. So, if it does happen, like, if I'm on the narrative team, if it's my turn to get up on the whiteboard and start putting my thoughts, I think the best time would be, I guess, so there's 4 seasons in every expansion. So at the conclusion of the 4th season during Lightfall, that should be a cut season, a cutscene cliffhanger that'll bring us into the final shape, right? Because it's not just, there's a new expansion, final shape, and all the other story beats that have been built up. But, oh my god, Amanda is coming back. And how is she going to come back? What is she going to come back as? I think people's gut reaction is for her to come back as a hunter, right? Because, again, who is the leader of the Hunter Vanguard?
See, I'm guilty of that. I said she should come back as a hunter.
She kind of looks like a hunter frame, right? Like, she hangs out with hunters. But I gotta give credit to Captain of Lord Guardian Council, right? One of the leaders there in the Discord and in the clan. He said that she'll come back as a Titan, right? And the reason being is because her personality and her actions in game in the cutscenes resonate more with the Titan archetype than it does the Hunter archetype. Right? She's steadfast, headstrong, leadership. She's always the first to go into battle, strike first, ask questions later. She's more action than just like reacting, She was also like raised under the wing of Commander Zavala since she arrived to the last city as a child. So she's had the upbringing from Zavala as a Titan.
See, now that you say this, it's opened more fucking questions, because like, if she gets rezzed at the end, let's say she gets rezzed at the end of Lightfall, obviously we know.
And she's got like fucking arc Titan, like arc shining, and she like slams her fist on the fucking floor.
Not just that, but we know that Lance has passed away, so what are they going to do with his character? So now it opens the potential possibility of that they're gonna kill off Zavala and she's going to replace as the lead of Titans.
Listen,
possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but possibility. It opens up.
How about this scenario? Like, let's keep going with that. How about this scenario? So this is a way, at the conclusion of the last season, right? Crow is in dire straits, and who comes out of the fucking woodwork but Amanda Holliday as an arc Titan, doing like a slam to kill a thunder crashing to save Crow, and basically does like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, come with me if you want to live, extends her hand out, right?
Get to the ship.
Right? We got to get to the ship, right?
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper, and like extends her hand out, and Crow is just like, has like this OMG look on his emo face, and like fucking end scene, dude, right? And then maybe coinciding with that, Zavala is doing something to like maybe like save us or someone else, and his ghost gets killed, right? Maybe like
possibly.
Maybe
make him not so much like dead, but like a non-factor, if that makes sense, like a non-light.
At the very, Zavala has to get like, if the weakest character Zavala can die to would have to be a tormentor. Like, and ideally...
Or the witness.
Well, I'm saying the weakest. Like, at the very least, Zavala would die by the hands of a tormentor. But ideally, the witness should be the one to, like... Or Zavathun gets rezzed, right? For somehow...
I don't want her coming back.
Like, I mean, her ghost is still alive, so technically she can still be resurrected, right?
Ah, fuck. What if...
Like,
this is down the rabbit hole and completely far-fetched, but we've been hearing rumors about ZEROHOUR all throughout, like, last season, and then obviously she hasn't really made an appearance this season, when a lot of people from, like, the lore perspective said that she'd probably be, like, the final boss in, like, Root of Nightmares, or maybe the dungeon or something. What if, and this is a very big what if, Savathun's ghost has somehow assigned itself with ZEROHOUR, and ZEROHOUR kills off Zavala? She's yet to be in play. She's the last sister that needs to come from the Hive legacy. We killed everyone else.
I get what you're saying, but try to think of yourself as part of the narrative team. So that would mean, like, if you take Zavathun's ghost, right? Who's I can't remember the name right now.
It's Imaru.
Amaru here. What's up, glitter bombs? Right. Okay.
Glitter bombs.
Right? That's what he says, right? So it's like, if you take Amaru and then have Amaru... Well, I guess
What if he's just looking out for himself? Because Savathun disintegrated in front of us. The ghost got away, but she died.
If you align Amaru with ZEROHOUR, then you're basically like writing off Zavathun, right? Unless a new ghost rezzes her, which I don't think would... Does
she need to come back, though? At the end of the Witch Queen, it was kind of final. I mean, she died. She turned to dust in front of us. Yes, she potentially could be rezzed, but like, where's her
guardian? Ghost? Like, she's still a guardian, right? Like, she's a risen, I should say. Like,
she's a half-breed.
She's risen, right? Like, anytime a guardian rezzes a dead being, they're risen, right? Like, that's it. There's no dispute, right? So she's a risen, right? And she can channel the light. But as long as your ghost is still alive, then
You could technically be res.
you can be rezzed. And Amaru.
But what if hive ghosts don't work like that?
I don't. I think a ghost
Because
is
they're
a
not,
ghost.
they're not our ghosts, though, are they? They're not the same as us. They haven't chose technically from like a light side.
No,
They've
they
bred with
are.
the
They are.
darkness.
Because remember, they decided to go that path. It's not like hive ghosts are like manifested. They're like existing.
No, so they were our ghosts, but they chose dark. They've been infected with dark magic
Yeah.
to res hive. Like, there's got to be some. What's the word I'm looking for? There's got to be something there. It's not the same as like light and light. 1 + 1 = 2. Like, if you're gonna go to like a completely different entity like a hive, it's a half breed. It's not a light. It's not a light bearer. It's not a guardian. It's not a human. It's not an exo or an awoken or anything like that. It's a completely separate being and breed. So surely from the same aspects of things, you'd have to treat it in the same such. What if theirs is they have a guardian and they have a ghost and they can res, but if the guardian's body gets disintegrated, like Savathun turned to dust in front of us, is there anything left to res at that point? It'd be interesting if she comes back, but how do you spin it? Like, she's been an enemy for 3 seasons.
Here's how you spin it. And maybe the Traveler is a lot smarter than we give it credit for. So instead of allowing Amaru, well, we were gonna kill Amaru. We were gonna shoot Amaru, right? Like, we were locked and loaded, ready to go. And all of a sudden, the Traveler absorbs the ghost, right? So Amaru, goodbye. You're inside the Traveler, right? For lack of a better phrase. Now, when the Witness enters the Traveler, technically, Amaru is still inside of there. So I think Amaru still has a role to play, and maybe Amaru, with knowing what's going on inside, what the Witness is doing to the Traveler, is able to now res Savathun, who, the goddess of trickery and deceit, is perhaps able to maybe either A, get back in bed with the Witness, right? Or B, get back in bed with her sister, Zivu Irath, and be able to make amends for all of her bullshit, because now she doesn't have the worm anymore, right? So now she lost the worm, right? And she's finally
Potentially an option C.
Right?
If we think about the story from Savathun's Witch Queen storyline, we learned that the Witness tricked Savathun into accepting the worm. The Traveler was never going to go there, but it was.
Yeah.
But they got tricked by the Witness.
Yeah.
So we were saying about balance tippers, scale tippers, towards the final shape. What if she's it? Because she's known all along what the Witness is going to do. She tried to hide the Traveler away from the Witness. She knew the Witness was coming. She was actually trying to fight us for the better good sort of thing, as they try and spin the storyline.
Yeah.
So she already knew the Witness was coming. What if her ghost was absorbed with the same information? That's why the Traveler tried to go to orbit and fight the Witness out there rather than in the last city, because it kind of knew from Amaru that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
There's so many plot holes. There's so many things you can go what if with. It's annoying. You can go down this rabbit hole all night.
But I kind of just like to bring things full circle. I think in regards to Amaru, Savathun, Zivu Irath, the Witness, with potentially killing off Zavala, right? Because obviously no more Lance Reddick. Zavala is already pretty much written throughout Lightfall. So
yeah, I think they said he was written up to like the final shape, or like to the beginning of the final shape.
So obviously, whatever reworks that they have to do something, right? Because
yeah, of course,
right. So
the logical thing would be to kill the character off. Like,
I think it's going to happen, right? I don't think we get Zavala in the final shape, right? I think that's the first thing that happens is Zavala eats it. Right.
I think it's less likely that Savathun will kill Zavala. If Savathun comes back, it's going to be to stop Zivu.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing all these names out there. I think somehow it's going to come into play because, like, my theory would be, like, if Zavala dies at the end of the Lightfall, right? If they're able to work that in, which I don't think will happen, right? But I think
it will happen at the beginning of the final.
It'll happen at the beginning of the final shape. But in regards to Amanda Holliday, I think she gets rezzed, man. I think she'll get rezzed at the end of the year, at the end of this expansion. And I think
it'll be so good if she and she and Savathian get rezzed to the light side to tip the balance against Zevua Wrath and the Witness.
I think she comes in with a Thunder Crash and saves Crow, puts that hand out.
That'd be amazing as well. I can't wait to look.
And Crow's just looking up
yellow
at
eyes,
her,
just like
Amanda. And then end scene, right? And then we gotta wait whatever
30 days for the next
2 months,
30
days until the next release. Like that would be poetic right there.